is the Maggie and I Show.
Well, hey, everybody. Hi. Good evening, good morning, good day, whatever time of day it is that you are catching the show, in your local time. God bless you. Thank you for being here. This is the Maggie and I Show. I'm Maggie Morgai, and these are my contributors. They're going to be introducing themselves in just a moment. Guys, this is part 2 of 10 questions that you must ask. If you missed last week's episode, you got to go back to that. That was a rich show. Allow me to say that, okay? Not because it was me and these wonderful contributors, but even just listening to it, I knew that I was blessed. I was blessed listening to the questions, and anyone that's looking to do marriage ministry. Well, actually, marriage is ministry. Wouldn't y'all agree? Marriage is ministry. It's the first ministry that we have. So there you go. This is the show for you, people of God. And with that said, we are jumping into now part 2, question 6, because we've covered question 1 through 5. We don't have time to go back into recapping question 1 through 5. They'll probably come in the conversation that we're having today. We may make reference to that, but we really don't have the time to recap everything. But the video is available on YouTube, so please make use of that. Okay, so my question last week started off with asking about the vision. What's the vision for this new family unit that is being formed, right? So that was my first question. So this is part 2. That's the second question I'm bringing, and I think it's worth you asking. With every family, or should I say most families, a lot of people that are getting married, they want a family. It's for, procreation, and that sort of thing. So we're talking children here. Okay, so then I have to ask, these are some of the questions that are basics that we've got to ask. Things like, how many children do we want? Now, I appreciate it may be hard to say, we're going to have 2 girls, 2 boys, because those are some things that, we just trust God for that. But it may very well be that, it's 3 girls and a boy. Then what? Do you see what I'm saying? But ultimately, it's worth asking in this marriage that we're this new family unit. Are we going to have children? How many children do we want? And with that, you've got to ask questions about how y'all are going to parent. It's not enough to there's some questions that you need to address, or should I say, how do they say it? They say, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's some bridges you need to cross before you get there. Don't cross them when you get there. Cross them before. So when bridge shows up, you already know what's happening. Okay, and that's why we're calling this the 10 questions that you've got to ask. So we're saying children. Next thing you want to ask is, around those children, how are we going to raise them? Okay, is mommy or is it daddy? Who's going to take time off work to stay at home? And I say that because in this part of the world, okay, in the Western world, I appreciate some of y'all are watching in Africa, some of y'all are watching in Europe, in America, I've even got China, in Asia, okay? And things may be done slightly different. The families may choose to do whatever works for their family. I think communication is key here, right? Like Minister Israel likes to say, it's all about communication. What will work for family A may not work for family B. And it's not to say family B is wrong. No, it's just what they've communicated. This is what they like to do. Okay. So you're going to ask questions like, is there a parent that's going to stay at home, maybe the first year or the first 2 years of, baby being born? Obviously, mom's going to be carrying the pregnancy. She's birthing the baby. But then thereafter, what next? Are we hiring nannies? What are we doing? People of God, these questions are so important. And I think I say this because I watched a clip by Pastor, y'all gonna have to correct me if I say his name wrong. Iron, am I saying it right? Yeah, Iron. Okay. Bless him. I found that video on Instagram, and I'm gonna. Those of you that are watching this on YouTube, at this point, my video editor is inserting that clip.
If in the Bible, even ministry should not stand in the way of training your children, how much more your job? Let me tell you this. Work hard so that you can control time, so that you can be a husband and a wife the Bible way. This culture where husband and wife are busy, then we outsource parenting to strangers. We get maids to train our children. That's why many children are dysfunctional. Many of them are abused because you were not there. That's not the Bible way. And listen, when you embrace the possibility in your mind, God, I must see whatever resource you want to give me, whatever job you want to give me, must give me the opportunity to be there for my children. I want to be there. I must be a present father, a present mom. They must know me. We must be close. Cartoons will not mentor my children more than me. I must raise them up in the way of the Lord. Sit them down. I must pray with them. Ask them how was school. I must be committed. I must know who their friends are. Don't sell your soul. Not every, listen, that's why the Bible advised you. You can stay single, it's an option. Don't bring children to the world and leave them alone. As long as you have children, it is not every career opportunity you can take. Are you listening to me? It might offer more money. If you will not be present, it is not God's will for you. If you have children, you must be present. That's why many young ladies are vulnerable. They can't understand why they are searching for affection. Because that male presence, the space that a father should have filled is just there, void in their hearts. They can't understand what is happening. And when anybody, any guy just tells them, I love you, even if they know he's lying, they can't understand why. They just want to trust and believe. It must change in your day. You must decide not to repeat the mistake of your parents. Some parents so naive. You can be a good Christian and be naive. You don't know about parenting. You bring house helps into the house. You are not watching them. They are sleeping with your children. Some of us will bring relatives to help them. We are sending them to school, giving them a better life. You bring them from the village, and how do they pay you back? They abuse all your children. I know they are at fault, but you're also at fault. How could you allow that happen under your roof? A good husband is suspicious. You monitor everything. As they are going up, you know your children are up, you follow. Why is the light off? Why are you alone here? Why are you giggling? African parents are clueless. A child that was expressive suddenly became quiet.
Now that you've watched the clip, he asked some serious questions. And listen, people of God, these questions need to be addressed, okay? So things like, are we going to get, are nannies going to be, employed? Are we sending kids to daycare from whatever time? Is it 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.? How involved as parents are y'all going to be? Because people of God, the truth of the matter is this: if y'all listened to our show back in February when we talked about childhood trauma, people of God, a lot of our guests talked about how they went through abuse right under their parents' noses, okay? Especially sexual abuse. Because even though mom was supposedly there, dad was supposedly there, there were a lot of people in the home, or there were neighbors that were too close to, there's just too much going on in the home. And these are things that you want to really pay attention to. So for me, that's where those are some of the questions that you need to really talk about, and decide how you're moving forward in this family. What's the vision of this family? And sorry, before I get my contributors to jump in and weigh in on that, you might also want to think about, so this would be like my part 2B kind of question, is you might want to think about, what if there's a ministry calling upon one of y'all, okay, or even both of y'all? Because see, the thing is, this is the thing about calling. For some people, even long before they've gotten into marriage, they already know that they have the call of God upon their lives, okay? But then for some people, God reveals that much later in life. So then you have to ask yourself, how are we going to navigate that? Okay, are you the kind of woman, or are you the kind of guy that you're like, you know what, I'm done anything to do with ministry, I'm not interested, don't ever talk to me about ministry, yada yada yada? Look, if that's you, that's not to say you're a bad person. This particular person you're about to get married to may not be the right person for you, because if that's your attitude, then it's worth you walking away, because y'all are going to need to be in agreement on not even just ministry, but even your professional, your career, things like that. What promotions are you taking, as you may have heard in the video with Pastor Irene? All right, guys, over to y'all. What do y'all think?
Okay, I'll go first. And I don't know why, but I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I think that it's a serious question. Asking yourself, like, who is going to be home, and how are we going to be intentional raising our kids?
Yes.
Especially if you're in Africa, there's this notion that they're always saying things like a woman should be at home. But these days, I actually talk to teenagers still starting, and
Yes.
I've noticed that it would be also nice for men to be around, like men to be present. You don't know, like, there's so much a man's presence can do to a child, especially a female child. It gives them confidence. It gives them you see some of them, they will say, daddy loves me, daddy believes I can do it. They become fearless, basically. Yeah, so it's not only for one person to be available, it's for two people to be available. And you see, our God is very understanding, our God is interesting. He gave two people the choice to partner a child. You can't have a child on your own. One person can't have a child on their own.
Right.
That means that it takes two people to raise your child.
Right.
It takes two people to raise a child. So I think that we would get it all mixed up if we want to do that stuff of who is that one person that should be at home. You understand? Let's two people, let them make the choice of, being intentional. Because when we are saying we are being intentional, it means that we both want to be involved. Yeah. And we will try to be involved as much as we want to be. Yeah. So I think on your second question, actually, about the call of God, and if the person is saying no to the call of God upon your life, you don't have any business staying there. I think we already made that clear in the last session. You don't have any business staying there. You don't have any business staying there. Because I think that, okay, I'll recommend a video on YouTube by the Perry. I don't know, Jackie Perry. The Perrys. They were talking about something about they were talking about they dropped a video recently. I've forgotten the title. And the girl was talking about, I don't want to stop anybody from doing what God has ordained them to do.
Right.
So if I'm an evangelist and the other person has been called to be a pastor,
right,
that means our union cannot work.
Okay.
Because we both hinder each other from fulfilling the purpose of God for our lives. And we also have to think about that, basically. Yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Amazing.
Yeah, so from my end, I believe for any, especially for the call of God, or for, it may not even be the call of God, it might be your future plans, your vision as a person, or your mission. Anybody that's coming into your life should be somebody that is going to help you, right? Because Bible calls us as helpmates, right? So it's actually both the man helping the woman, and the woman too is helping the man. Right, so anything you want to do, either is a call of God, either is your vision, your mission as a person. Anyone coming in is just coming as a supporter, as a helpmate to fulfill it. So, in the first place, if this person is not interested, when I mean interested, I mean you're going to do the same thing. But if this person is not having same value or trying to put for whatever you're doing, then it's therefore means that you not work together. So there should be an agreement, there should be similar value. The person, you should see the support, you should see the vibe that, oh, this thing that I'm doing, she's actually coming in to support me, either morally, it can be in advice, in encouragement, and all of that. So it's very important that whatever you want to do, this other person coming into your life should be helpmate and should be very functional in it.
You know, when you say that, I'm reminded of I had to pull out my iPad because whenever I hear these wonderful quotes, I love one-liner quotes because for me, those are like my take-home moments. Like you could do a whole lot of talking, but there's just one thing that hits me smack in the face, and I'm like, that's what I needed to hear. That's what I came here for. And I was listening to this wonderful woman of God, marriage counselor and a coach, I think, Pastor Mildred. How'd you say her last name? Y'all trying to say Coco? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she said something. I typed it out. This is what she says. Just to agree with what you're saying, sir. She says, don't marry. She's talking to the ladies now. She goes, and I guess it's applicable to the guys as well. She says this. She says, don't marry a man, or I guess a woman, who lets you fly. Okay. Don't just marry a man who lets you fly, but marry a man or a woman who helps you to fly. So it's one thing to say, oh, honey, yeah, if you want to do that, yeah, fine, okay, whatever, yeah. But then are they there? Are they helping you to actually fly? Yeah. Just like what you're saying, the help me aspect of it. Fantastic. Listen, let's move on to Adam right quick with your second question or second questions, because I know your questions kind of like have a part A, part B, part C sort of thing. Go for it, sis. You are helping us with the health aspect, right?
So I guess I have to introduce myself. My name is
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I'm a medical student and I stay in China. I call Ainan. I'm a podcaster too, and a bit of year and year. Yeah. So my question today will be about sexual health. And I don't want us to actually look down on it because I've noticed that a lot of people just want to play down that part, especially Christians, and because we want to be righteous, holy, we don't want to think about it. So my question goes thus. My question is this. Do you have erectile dysfunction, or how is your sexual health basically? Now when I say how is your sexual health, this question might not be asked early in dating life, you understand, but when we want to tie the knot, before we want to tie the knot, 2 months before we want to tie the knot, this should be talked about. Even in marriage counseling, this should be talked about, so we can find out if the person, because I think that it is weird for someone to just get married and find out that the guy has erectile dysfunction, because the man already knows that he has erectile dysfunction even before that day. Yeah. So it's like we are just doing unfair, and I think that a lot of people do these things without thinking. The person you are going to meet or going to have this relationship with, getting married to, might not be someone that actually even believes God for an headache, and now you want to stretch their faith to believe God for a whole healing, sexual healing. Let's not do that. And for females too, try to actually talk about PCOS if you have one, because I know that PCOS is kind of common and people don't want to talk about it, they want to shy away from it. But PCOS actually affects your fertility, you understand? Giving birth and everything. And there's some people that really want to give birth early and everything. So these are things that we should talk about, you understand, before we actually get married. Awesome. Yeah, so that's my question. Anybody wants to jump in?
Okay, yeah. So I like what you said, that people that have not believed God for headache, they cannot just come and trusting God for a bigger issue like that, and that's so profound, because we build faith in levels. Faith is in levels. In the Bible talks about great faith, about little faith, about different type of faith, right? So if you really, I believe that everyone that wants to trust God, you actually need to start from somewhere. So there are sometimes that maybe you have a headache, right? You can decide that I need to pray and I'll not take any drug, and this headache will go. You can start from this. If you're doing that, if it's working, then you're building your faith. You know that, oh Lord, yes, I can trust you for bigger issue when it comes to the health thing or any other area. So what I'm trying to say is faith is built in levels. It's so good. If you cannot trust God with small headache or stomach pain, don't go into those bigger issues of life, if I can put it that way. So faith is built in levels. You need to trust little things, right? Once you know that, God can do this, then you just upgrade, and it goes on like that.
Yeah, that's so true. I like that.
I think I totally agree with what Atom and Minister Israel said. On the same hand, I think the health aspect about, questions regarding what you need to ask when in a relationship, and after knowing where the relationship is leading you, because it's one thing to know that you're in a relationship, it's another thing to know that it's leading you somewhere, because it's not all relationships that, like Atom, I think Atom made a comment about having to start it anyway, whether it's leading you to somewhere or not. Just say it out, so that whoever it is that wants to accept you for who you are, and the person wants to run away because you've told them the truth about what's possibly wrong with your health, then it's not, you can still talk to the father and ask the father that this person, I don't think, because I cannot handle some hard truths that I need to tell the person. If I can talk to you, God, my father, and be honest and be open, how about the person that, is coming into my life to say he wants to spend the rest of my life with me, and I'm telling him, and I have PCOS, and then erectile dysfunctions, and the person is running away. That means what that tells me is when conflict arises in the marriage, he's going to run away anyway. So that means he's not ready. He will not be ready to resolve any issues. And like Minister Israel said, your faith grows. Like Arthur will always say, do not punish anybody to come and be believing God for a healing that you yourself did not believe God for 30 years. You want somebody to come into your life to help you to believe on that miracle. God is a miracle worker, but it's not a magician. You have to be like a process too, that you too have believed God for, and you have track record that I believe God for this thing and it happened to me. So I'm trusting God that with your faith and my faith together, this can be workable, and this can, and then two cannot work except they agree. Amos 3:3. So
Yeah. You know what I'm taking away from these questions, and especially the health aspect, where people, especially for us Christians or Pentecostals, we love everything miracle. We love everything prophecy. We love everything supernatural. We are all over that stuff, and it's great. I'm not here to knock it. I believe in it. Okay, I glorify God for that. But listen, there is a time and a place to lay your cards out on the table. This is where I'm at. This is where I would like to be. And this is my journey to that. Would you like to be a part of it? Don't try. This whole thing, don't force people into it. Don't force people. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep the names of, I'm going to lip tight about the names, okay? But these are people that I grew up in the faith. We had the same spiritual father, okay? And this couple was about to get married, okay? And she kept quiet. She did not tell her fiance that she did not have a womb. She didn't. Guess what happened? Guess how God helped her? See, we have a merciful God. And I'm not saying this, you go and try this foolishness, because she did not have a womb. And it's not because she was not born with one. Let's just say things happened back when she was in the world, and so on and so forth, and the doctors took that out. Okay, now she didn't tell her fiance. We were in a church meeting, and the man of God, thank God for the prophetic, and that's what I'm saying. We as Christians, we love the prophetic, we love the supernatural, we love all that. And the man of God said that we were not even in England. We were in South Africa. And the man of God says, there's a woman here. You came from a far country and you do not have a womb. And as I'm speaking to you right now, believe it or not, he said, God has given your womb. I have it here in my hand. I will toss it over to you. You catch it in the spirit by faith and lay hands on your belly. Let me tell you, people of God, we that were in that group that traveled, we were all like, oh, so who among us? Before we knew what was happening, the lady flew a couple of, aisles back, hit by the power of God. Today, she's a mother of 2 kids. Okay? Supernaturally. But I saw that deception and I was like, you don't do that to people. But thank God stepped in. And I say that because you know how I'm reminded of that story, because I just saw something on Facebook. It's a post saying today is her son's 13th birthday. That's her second child. His birthday is, he's 13 years. I think the first child is about 16 or 17 years old. So we're talking a miracle that took place about 18 years ago. Y'all hearing what I'm saying? So, but she was not truthful. She did not say, look, this is how I am. Now, can you imagine you as a guy getting into a marriage with that kind of woman, and there was no prophet of God who operated on that level of power to release your womb, and you have, for you to get pregnant, they would have been seeking pregnancy, and the guy's like, why is it we're not pregnant? Not knowing she knew the whole time.
And I think that it's really a different thing when you put all the cards on the table and the person tells you that I'm comfortable with it, we can adopt, than just doing that to somebody. I mean, it's really unfair.
It's unfair. It's unfair.
Just to add to what you just said, some people can actually pick the cards on the table and say it's fine to adopt. But long way into the marriage, they will tell you that they want you to give birth. So what do you even have to say to those people? Because, because I don't know what to say to them, because it feels like, okay, I'm accepting it. It's okay by me. And then we are into the marriage and you're telling me to come and give birth. But I told you from the beginning. So what do you have to say to those people?
Those other set of people, these other people that you actually brought to the table also, they are also wicked. This is also another share the wickedness. It is wickedness. Oh,
this is not a laughing matter, but seriously, she goes, they're just wicked. They're wicked people.
God will not actually give his daughter to any wicked person. Amen?
Amen.
That is wickedness. That is another type of wickedness.
Yeah.
When somebody puts the card on the table, you say you agree to the card, and then you're now turning on the person, and that's, what do we call that if not wickedness? It's wickedness. It's evil.
True.
Yes. So.
True.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say before she came in was the fact that people actually do that. They tell a lie to get married because they don't trust God enough. Why don't you just trust God? God can make everything beautiful. He says he gives riches and he has no sorrow. Come on.
What a verse. What
no
a verse.
Sorrow. Come on.
God, he maketh rich and addeth no sorrow with it. So regard you a bit like the couple we talked to last week that had that situation where they had health issues, well, not health issues, their genotype, their blood group, whatever situation would have made them to be incompatible, but because they were truly sent by God to each other, God did the miracle before they even got married. Like what you like to say, Adam, you like to say, whatever miracle wants to happen, let it happen before we get married. That's all you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
I absolutely, there's a statement that you made that it resonates like so well. I mean, you cannot when you cannot believe God completely enough, you have to trace it back again. I actually thank God because our series since September last year has been very connecting to each other. Because when we talk about trust, again, we're going back to what is your own trademark of trusting God? Because sometimes people just say it's only marriage, they want to come and trust God. Or no, you are going to school. Are you trusting God for that particular school that you want to go to? You want to go and shave. Are you trusting God for the style of hair that you want to shave or make? You want to wear clothes. These little things about hearing the Holy Spirit, building intimacy, having fellowship, are some of the things that bet you into even knowing the kind of spouse that you want to marry. Or the thing that if God now say, okay, this is the person, this person has PCOS, God can give you details of the individual even before the individual talks to you.
Right.
This person has PCOS, this person has this dysfunction, this person has this, but trust me. And then when the individual meets you, right, you've already heard the word, and the person is now telling you, you are only confirming that God has told you something. And it concerns that, okay, this is the person and this is what God has told me. Trust me.
Yeah.
Now, in that line of trust, you already have like a record of trusting God and believing Him completely. So, I mean, it's again, this brings us back to really developing the work of God and not just waiting until we want to get married and then begin to like.
Yeah, because the journey of marriage in itself, people, we marry by faith. And by the way, we're going to try and bring in a prophet, especially for those of you that like to say, God told me you are my wife, God told me you're my husband, or you're the kind of person that takes 5 names to a prophet and tell him, man of God, woman of God, prophesy and tell me who God said. Oh, we're gonna try and bring in a prophet with an amazing track record, okay? And we're gonna have some fun with that too, okay? But listen, let's move on to the next question because one of us is gonna have to be going really soon. V, let's bring you in with your couple of questions that you are, suggesting that people really should be asking before they go down the aisle.
Okay, so again, you've all heard my voice already. My name is Victory, and I'm a nurse. I'm in the UK, and I mean, we can't thank God enough for the Maggie Magaya show. It's been a blessing, like total blessing, and I mean, was so blessed to be connected. And I'm sure this show is blessing you because we're not just here to just talk. By the grace of God, we're here to really, be experiential as well. So my question, one of the questions that I believe that we need to start talking about when we want to get down the aisle, when we get serious with somebody, is about our faith foundation, our where is it that we want to worship, because I mean, apologies, these days there's so many doctrines, there's too many churches everywhere, so we need to really agree. So who are we going to be feeding from? Are we going to be feeding from different pots and coming back and be turning the house into a tug of war? Or are we going to be feeding from the same pots and come back and dwell on the word that we've heard together? And then you're talking about issues on tithing as well. There are people that don't believe tithing because they said it's in the Old Testament. That reminds me, I met somebody some time ago and the person said tithing is in the Old Testament. You rather go and give his tithes to beggars than pay his tithe. So you have to have that conversation, please, so that if they are paying me salary and I want to pay my tithe, you're telling me, oh, let's go and give it to beggars. Okay, I think some understanding needs to come on that as well. So I will leave it on here for us to contribute and like literally shed more light on this thing about faith foundation when you want to start a family. I think is important.
I'm gonna say something very quick before my other contributors come in. But V, that is such a good question that people need to address it. There's been so much. You notice, because we are living in a social media era, everybody is a preacher. Okay? Yeah, everybody is a preacher. Suddenly everybody is called by God. No, God hang up on that call. You called God, God hang up. God did not call you. He did not answer that call. Okay. Right? No, seriously. Okay. But seriously, we got so many preachers, people who have called themselves. Listen, I am one of those people that truly believe it's good for somebody to have matured in their faith before they come together, okay? But when y'all start to talk about now we're looking to become a family unit, it is so important that y'all make that decision, that y'all know where you're going to worship. What are the things that y'all are going to be doing together as a family? Unity is key in any marriage, okay? It's key. It's key. We're giving together. It's not just husband over here giving his tithe and then wife does not believe in it. You don't want that. You're going to hinder yourselves from, it's best that you both don't believe in it, or you both believe in it and you do it together. I'll leave it there so that others can get a chance to say something. Y'all come on in.
So for me, I believe it's very important to make that conversation, because when we place of worship, when we have a pastor over our lives, it's like it's a place where we draw nutrients, right? Mm-hmm. So life can be going to a different church and all they keep feeding him is protein and vitamin. And so the husband is going to another church, all they keep giving him is a carbohydrates and fat and oil. If you understand, so come together. The nutrients, some people, you lack this area, there'll be malnutrition in this point, in this area for the man, there'll be malnutrition for this woman in the other side. So it's very important that they come together, make decision that this is where we want to fellowship, or this is where we want to do things together, because it will help them in decision making. It will help them, just basic decision in the house. It will help them. But if daddy is going to this church, mommy is going to another denomination, how would they even raise their kids? They're going to cause problems, because raising the kids will be difficult. The son will say, I want to follow daddy. The daughter will say, I want to follow mommy. That's imbalance, right? So it's very important that they just make decisions, and also it will also help them. When they feed from the same well, they'll be able to grow together. There will be this level of understanding between them. Yeah, very well.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing. I remember when we talked red flags, and we had our other contributor, Mrs. Elizabeth Oni of Flame Radio. She said something about before her and her husband were married, they were in different churches. So when they were to get married, they started to, make a plan on how they're going to have the same man of God, same woman of God as their pastors, so that they both were feeding and they were on the same page. And then she said something about where she felt like, where her husband to be at that time felt like there were some truths that she had not come into. He got her those messages to bring her up to speed, and she did the same. So by the time, they got into that marriage space, they were on the same page. They believed the same, they spoke the same, because this is the thing. It's important that people are talking from the same truth and not a twisted truth, because this is the thing, again, about being fed from two different places. Like you said, there could be protein only, and then the other place is just carbs. You need both. You need both for a balanced diet, right? So I think the danger with that is people will definitely drift. They will drift apart. And that's not what you want. In the marriage, you always want to be closely knitted together. You don't want to have room for y'all that, when it comes to this issue, I have this girlfriend that I talk to over here, and then your husband has somebody else that he talks to over there. That y'all need to be for each other's, person that y'all talk about, because these are things in your home. So with that said, we're going to let you, Minister Israel, come in with your question. We're going to have to improvise for Apostle Sharon's question, which she left with us. We're going to share it with y'all. She sends her apologies. But go ahead, Minister Israel. What is your question? What questions do you think people should be asking before they get married?
For me, I believe we're in the digital transformation. We're in 21st century. And so the way that marriage is being practiced in the olden days is different from the way this generation practiced marriage. So back then, there is the issue of gender roles. There's the issue of gender roles. Basically, people believe that this role is supposed to be executed by daddy. Mm-hmm. They believe that this role is supposed to be executed by mommy. And so that's how they just inaugurate the whole thing. But because you're in digital transformation, daddy is working full-time, mommy is working full-time. So what happens to those roles? How do we tackle it? Because back then, they just believed that, of course, we know that mommy is the one that is always at home. Daddy is the one that will go do the hunting, go and provide the food. Mm-hmm. Mommy is 247. But in this generation, that mommy are no more at home. Like, mommy is a CEO. Mommy has a conglomerate. Mommy has an international brand. So what happens to the house? Is it daddy that should be staying at home? I think it's a conversation that the people that are coming into marriage should have that. So what happened? How do we outsource roles, right? So, and also in a situation where mommy is good, she's a wife material, but she's not good in cooking. Daddy is one that cooks. Daddy can cook water and everybody will be tasting it, So how do we do all of these things? How do we narrow it down? I think it's a conversation that people have to make. They should just come to terms with themselves. Are we going to employ nannies? Are we going to outsource roles? The washing of dishes? I mean, for me, my contribution would be that if couples understand that marriage is partnership, they really will not have issue with this, because
partnership.
That I'm partnering with my wife or I'm partnering with my husband, then roles is not actually the issue. So if dishes are dirty, I don't need to wait for mommy to come back or my wife to come back from work. I can easily go to the kitchen. It's not to wash, and I'm inside my house. I'm not going to national TV to go and wash plates. I'm inside my room, inside the kitchen. So I just believe that if couples, even in marriage, they understand that what we are doing is partnership, then you can do anything. Daddy can cook. I know people, I know a lot of pastors, not even pastors, I know men, older people that will tell me, I cook for my wife, I wash my wife's clothes. Like, they can do all of these things. They are inside their house, and it's not a big deal. It does not reduce them. It does not reduce their bank accounts, even their status quo in the society. So I just believe that important that this generation, they should have that conversation, because some guys still believe that I need to replicate my dad. So back then, my daddy they always do everything for my daddy. My daddy cannot go to the kitchen. My daddy cannot do this. All he just is to buy the money. Once he gives the money, people should find a way around it and just put things together. But in this generation, really, can't do anything. Just provide things. Just provide. Just help. We are helpmates, right? Just provide this. Just help your partner. It does not matter who is doing this or who is not doing that. As long as the work is done, that's what we want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you just said, sir, that marriage is partnership. Okay. Partnership, people. Partnership. That's what it is. Okay. And if it means you're going to need to step in and do this and do that, sure, it doesn't make you any less of a wife or any less of a husband, because you've done what is, quote unquote, assigned to the woman. Like you said, you get home, maybe you get home before your wife, and it's a situation where, there's no dishwasher, or there is a dishwasher, you empty it, or you load it, or you wash the dishes. It's not a big deal. It's not. Okay, so it's worth talking about these things that, it's what are we going to be doing? The roles, how are we going to do them? Adam, jump in, sis, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at a question by one of our audience. She sent something in. Yeah, so I'm going to throw that one to you, Minister Israel. But in the meantime, Adam, what do you have to say, please?
Okay, so I am not someone who is rigid on gender roles, because I've realized that a lot of things that we actually expect a woman to do was not pre-installed in the vagina. They had to learn it.
Right.
So that means that anybody can learn it. And some people are not naturally good with gender roles. Like they say ladies should know how to arrange. Not necessarily true. You understand? Some might not really fit into the box.
Yeah.
They might actually have tried to, a girl is supposed to be this way, and they try to be, but it's not working for them. What do they want to do? Do they kill them? Should they kill themselves? I think that what Minister Israel said is something we should actually think about reinforming ourselves, mind transformation.
Right.
If you really love this person, if you really want to make it work with this person, is it gender roles that you want to stop you? Like gender roles, things that you can really, really outsource. People now buy food in bulk and keep it at home. They see it's nice. Yeah, cook food, and they see it's nice foods every day. People still, just order.
Yeah.
Like the ordering is like from a restaurant. They just order the food and it's dropped in their house. I mean, this thing, is it just for us to eat and just feel full?
Right.
About it. Is it not just for us to eat?
Right. Right.
So I think that this should not be an issue, except from the fact that many of us are still just stuck, so we are not letting our mind be transformed, and we are not trying to accept the reality of things in this current age and time.
Yeah.
I think recently I had a friend who told me that he has not gotten there yet, and that's fine for people not to be there yet. You understand? Just make sure that when you're not there yet, you communicate to anybody that you think that you love that you are not there yet, so that they can choose if they will go with it or they will rather step back. So you don't make anybody unnecessarily happy. You understand?
Yeah.
I think these things is better we just put all cards on the table, no assumptions. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, you know why this whole, putting cards on the table, and that's what this conversation is about, asking these 10 questions, or even more than these 10 questions, okay? Because listen, at the end of the day, whatever you're trying to conceal, listen, by the time you get into that marriage, it's going to stare you in the face. Okay, it's going to be there. It's going to be the big elephant in the room that y'all are going to have to talk about, whether you like it or not. So the sooner you talk about it now, because let me tell you, I've had so many people. I see when I posted to announce about this show, I said, listen, back in the day when I pastored, the amount of ladies that were coming in, even young men that were coming in within the first year of their marriage, they'll be like, Pastor Maggie, I'm believing God for a divorce. I'm like, really? Just 5 minutes ago, we were believing God for a life partner. Now you are believing God for a divorce? There was a lady that said to me, we've seen things. There was a lady that said to me, if God's not ready to grant me a divorce, if there's no, from all my complaints, that there's nothing that is like, worthy of divorce, then I'm happy for God to make me a widow. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Okay, because these are things that people are not taking their time to ask. Okay, now, the truth of the matter is this. I know that if you get in any relationship, and especially marriage, you're getting in there with lies. You need to continue to lie to conceal that lie, to maintain that lie.
Yeah, so for every one lie, you need about 5 lies to cover it.
Oh, wow, there you go.
Why stress yourself?
Right.
Just put everything out on the table.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
And be done. Look, buddy, this is me. This is what I'm, and I'm not talking about those, little things that, character flaws. Character flaws, by all means, get your act together, okay? There are things that everybody needs to go work on. We're not talking about that now, okay? That we are forever self-improving. You know where you are supposed to take care of business. So what we're trying to say is, aside those things, these are the things that you really need to be honest about, because when they come back and stare you in the face, this is where people start talking about, we want to get a divorce. And that's not good. That's not good. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your love. Don't waste your emotional whatever. It's not worth it. Just be straight up. This is me. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm looking for in this marriage. Is it something that we can do together? Period. And where there's a compromise, where there's room for compromise, because there will be things that y'all compromise on. Okay, well, we'll do this way, but we'll do it this way. But you don't want to come off with lies, because like Minister Israel said, for every one lie you tell, you're gonna need 5 more. That's a lot of lying going on, a whole lot of lying going on, and you don't want that. Now, before we go, we want to bring in Apostle Sharon's question, which is around doctrine. For those of you that are following this show in Africa, we appreciate that right now, like the church in Africa is importing, in the words of Minister Israel, is importing pretty much everything the church in the West is doing. And one of the things that the church in the West has done is we see things like same-sex marriages, marriages where even a gay man or a gay woman, lesbian, they're now heading a church. It comes back to pretty much what V was saying. Is this something that y'all are going to, where are y'all going to worship? Where do y'all draw the line? Okay, where do y'all draw the line? Because these things, again, they're creeping into the church, sadly, and it's something that people have to really talk about. We're not talking about somebody being nice. Nice is not one of the 9 gifts of the Holy Ghost. Okay, we thank God for being nice. You can be as nice as sugar, girl. You be nice as can be, but okay. But seriously, Adam, Israel, y'all jump in and let's talk about nice and wicked. She said, go for it, sis.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I just said that just to emphasize the fact that I and Vic were talking about someone being wicked just a minute ago. And when you talk to him the first time and he's saying that he agrees, it's just his niceness, nothing more. But wickedness comes after. So because someone is nice doesn't necessarily mean that they are, standing in Christ.
Yeah.
And about that, I think I also had Pastor Aaron talk about something as regard this. He said one of the best advice on marriage that you can have is 1 Corinthians 13. That part that talks about the Spirit of God, the fruit of the Spirit, joy, love, patience, gentleness.
Yeah.
And he said that when someone has all these things and someone is open to this fruit of the Spirit, and this fruit of the Spirit has grown in them, they are good spouses. They are good people. They are just naturally good already. So marrying them is like you are marrying a really good person. So,
right.
Yeah. And about doctrines, you have to be very careful of doctrines, because different denominations believe different things.
Yeah.
And because of that, you have to understand that that person that believes, like, two of you are wired with what you actually believe, with the doctrine. You understand? It is subtle. You might not know how harmful it can be. Because there are some churches that believe that watching the television is demonic.
Yes.
Imagine you're a media person. Yeah, imagine you're a media person and you get married to that type of person. You might not, at first, you might not be defensive about it.
Yeah.
You understand? But by the time his defensive mechanism comes out to play, you'll be surprised and ask yourself, you knew I was in the media before. But it's just the wiring, subconscious mind, the conscious mind, the way they work. You have to be let's be very careful about doctrines. It's better that this person tells you, like, in my doctrine, we don't use jewelries. And you know the person's take about jewelries.
Yeah.
In my doctrines, we don't believe in tattoos.
Yeah.
You know the person's take about tattoos and piercing. That you just finding as one as up. So it's very good for us to actually ask. You might not even ask your partner. Just find out the church you went to and go and dig out their doctrine.
Yeah.
Believe you me, all of those doctrines, it is in his subconscious mind. He might not even be aware of it totally, that is in his subconscious mind. But this is a church where he grew about 20 years, from age 0 to 20. So he has had them say it over and over again, even when he was not paying attention. So it's already deep in his mind.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful of doctrine. Doctrines can be wicked. There's also a church that believes that being poor is holiness, is righteousness, and everything. So imagine you getting married to that type of person. He might even be doing well. The funniest thing is, like, he might even be doing well on a normal day, might be stable on a normal day, and then his subconscious will just come into play.
Yeah.
And it will be like, I don't think I'm so holy and everything. What about the churches that believe that a woman should not talk in the midst of men? Because Apostle Paul said, let every woman go and teach. Now imagine you have, and the guy might look all fine, all right, stable man.
Yeah.
But it's just in his subconscious mind already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minister Israel.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adam. Minister Israel, over to you, sir. Give us your thoughts on that, especially, like we said, with the church in Africa.
In marketing, there's something they tell us. They said there is something we call target market. Like there is target audience. So if you want to sell a product, that you have a target market for your product. So in relationship, I believe that we have target audience, meaning that it's not everybody you can marry. It's not everybody that can marry you. You have a target market, you have target audience. Your audience are the people that are suitable. And when I mean suitable now, it means you need to do a lot of interview. You need to assess them. Thank God we are able to our lives.
Yeah.
So you need to have assessed them. When I mean assess them now, ask them, where are they coming from? What's their mindset like? Because, like it or not, we don't marry a person. We marry their hearts. We marry their mindsets. We marry what they know. We marry how they operate, the operating system in their life, how it works. That is what we marry. It's not just a person. So that's why you don't marry just with structure. You don't marry somebody because she has a coke shape. Apology to the ladies, but it's much more than that, right? So if we want to get into the doctrinal thing, we need to assess it. Who is this pastor? Who is this mentor? Then check the track record. What have they been listening to, right? Just test it. Just check their history. It's very important because you cannot just come in and say, oh, we are marrying, we are doing, and so we are having confusion when it has to do with doctrine. And most times in Christian counseling, churches like you to marry, they want church members to marry themselves to avoid all of this drama. So for people that, you should marry from your congregation because it simplifies the process. Pastor know that I don't have enough work to do. We know that any problem that will happen will be in the confinement of that congregation. So it's very important that you marry from your circle. But for people that doesn't have the opportunity, of course, love can happen anywhere. It can jam you anywhere, globally. But for them, it's there that you need to do thorough work. You need to do thorough assessment. And that's why we keep saying all these long distance relationships, God help them. But you need to come together. You need to meet physically. You cannot be doing a wavelength relationship, like relationship that is just supported by Facebook or WhatsApp now. You need to come together, come to terms, make decision. Before you make decision, you must have drawn out a lot of insight from, because how do we discern people? Discernment is, how do you know people? You know people by communication and by discernment.
Right.
Communication is the first. When you communicate with people, when you hear from them, you'll be able to make decisions from what you're listening, the feedback you're getting. Then that's the physical. Then the spiritual is discernment. Just pray for discernment that God should allow you see into 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. That will make you to make better decisions. But when it comes to doctrines altogether, I believe people should stay together, right? Stay together. There are some doctrines that like you are not their target market. You are not their target audience. So don't even go there.
Don't go
Marry
there.
from your basics or religious. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Minister Israel. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I totally agree. There's a need, that mindset. Matter of fact, I remember I did a show with Dr. Udo, guy that had a great show with on mindset. I might just rerun that show. And you're pretty much just saying what he was saying. It's so important that we get this whole mindset together. Are we on the same wavelength? Let's get that, taken care of, because it's not enough just to hear what is being said all over the place. But if y'all can have the same mindset where doctrine is concerned, then it doesn't matter what is going on everywhere else, because y'all have an agreement. Y'all know where you know what you believe, okay? And you're not blown about by every wind of doctrine that comes about, that sort of thing. So that's important. So with that said, we have pretty much covered actually more than 10 questions, because some of these questions had a part B, part C to them. I hope that these questions, if you just sit down with a pen and paper and go through these questions, they will help you so much. They'll help you into that relationship, because like V always likes to say, look, beyond asking what's your favorite color, your ice cream, your favorite ice cream flavor and all that. Those are good. Those are key questions. Go ahead, sir. With what?
Like, have you eaten today?
Yeah, have you eaten today? How'd you like your steak and that sort of thing? We thank God for all that. But listen, that's not what's going to sustain marriage. That's not going to tell you, much about the person that you are trying to get to know for marriage. So it's really important that you are thorough. Let nothing take you by surprise, and I put something out there today. I'm gonna leave you with these words as we sign off. It said, let me look it up. This is what I said when I posted. I said, speaking to the singles, obviously, because this is the joys and the woes of singlehood. And I said, single sisters, single brothers, a broken relationship is far better, far less painful, far less expensive, far less complicated than a broken marriage. It's better that you have a broken relationship and not a broken marriage. So ask whatever question that you need to ask, okay? Anybody, like this is what we said last time, as we're signing off. Any answer you get that sounds like this, you don't trust me, that's not an answer. Insist on a proper answer. You don't trust, so you don't trust me? No, that's not an answer. Get a proper answer. Okay, you need answers. We're talking about the rest of your life here, not, you know, a 2-week course, not, you know, a whatever, you know, we're talking your life here, people of God. And God help you, you know, children as well are involved in this. So we're going to leave you with this, people of God. We want to say thank you so much for joining us. Just to give you the heads up, next week show will be over on Instagram live. It'll be an Insta live with ministers Dare and Kelly Daniel Otutu. We will be speaking on mixed race couples. Okay, yes, you know, the joys and the woes of singlehood. We're talking mixed race couples, and after that, actually we got 2 couples that are mixed race that are going to come in one after the other. And then get this, one of them is in an unarranged marriage. Y'all ever heard of one of those in the 21st century? That stuff's still happening. Yes, arranged marriage. Ooh, you don't want to miss that one. So the next 2 shows, people of God, will not be the next 2 weeks. So July the 1st, it's a Friday, and then July the 9th, it's a Saturday. Those 2 shows are going to be over at Insta Live. We will furnish you with the link over here on Facebook so that you can follow us on there. Okay, so stay with us, and we will see you July 1st, next week, Friday, on Instagram. All right, I gotta go. You gotta go. Have a great weekend, people of God. On behalf of myself and my wonderful contributors, Minister Israel, Adam, and V, and in essential Apostle Sharon, we're saying thank you. Goodbye. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye now.